This story ends in destruction. All that remains of my work is a cup of wood chips and torn cardboard, and I couldn't be happier about it. You go into the Shredder Derby knowing you'll probably lose everything. It's 2 cars enter, 1 car leaves. All that is left of the loser is a pile of kindling and bent axles. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. I first learned about the Shredder Derby at Open Sauce 2023. I was walking around and I just heard this horrible grinding noise, and I realized it was the sound of someone's hard work being destroyed in a homemade wood chipper. It was beautiful, and in that moment, I knew I had to be a part of it. As Open Sauce 2024 came around, I began to plan my car. It all starts with a block of pine. I didn't have much in the way of woodworking tools, and ironically, my workshop is a pile of lumber. So my design had to be simple, elegant, dare I say, timeless. It was a brick. That didn't mean it deserved any less work or creativity. It couldn't be aerodynamic or sleek, so I needed to find another way to win. My plan? Psychological warfare. A design no one would dare put in a shredder. Nothing but the finest tools and years of experience would see it through. As I worked, I thought about making pinewood derby cars for Cub Scouts with my dad. We'd spend hours together designing them, days carving and painting, sanding axles and testing wheels, learning to use tools. We didn't always win, but it was one of my first experiences as a maker. 20 years later, and I haven't stopped. Preparing my car for the big race, the end result was a thing of beauty. A delivery that should never be shredded. I've put every warning label I could think of in the hopes of intimidating anyone thinking of destroying it. Explosive, fragile, a Prop 65 warning. Did you know that flammable and inflammable mean basically the same thing? English is weird. Since they lived near the event, I stayed at my parents' house for Open Sauce. The build had made me nostalgic, so I decided to get out my childhood Pinewood Derby cars while I was there, and I found them just as I remembered them. The first one I ever made. The car that started me on this path. I found my most creative car, with its bat wings and skeletal livery. It may not have been fast, and some of the wings had broken, but it was still beautiful. And finally, I found it. My champion. The car I had made in my last year of Cub Scouts. The car that had beaten all others to claim first place. But there was something else in the box too. I found cars my dad had made when he was a kid with the help of my granddad. The design of the cars had changed over the years. The wheels have become wider and more modern, and the weights are no longer lead, I think. But 2 generations later, we're still making our little wooden cars. Race day is always stressful. All my work was for this single doomed drive. I brought my car in, did a few test runs, and found out it was a bit overweight. I guess that's what happens when your car is a solid block of pine. After asking around, my brother and I found a drill and removed enough material for it to pass inspection. And finally, it was time for the race to begin. The crowd had gathered, brimming with excitement for the coming carnage. And to tell the truth, in that moment it didn't matter if I won or not. I made the car with the intention of seeing it destroyed. In fact, I wanted to see it destroyed. And I think there's something wonderful in that. Putting care and work into an object knowing it won't last. Getting to witness its story from beginning to end. Knowing that the only trophy will be the shattered remains of your broken creation. I may not have gotten a trophy, but the guy running it did give me a mini version of one of the shredder blades. If you're coming to Open Sauce 2025, I highly recommend making your own car for the Shredder Derby. I know I'm already planning mine.